Okay, hi everyone, welcome back, and in this update we are going to check out VeChain's chart. And if you remember in the previous video we were right in here, and the idea was that if we get a move on the downside and in that move we take this low, at that point we should probably say our move down is going to be quite deep. On the other hand, if we get a rather sharp move up from here, okay, that can be a good sign suggesting maybe this is 1, this is 2, and we're gonna have another great move up into wave 3, 4, 5, and then it's gonna be time to have a move on the downside. So what happened? Unfortunately, the first scenario, and as you can see, we have clearly taken this important low about 2.9 cents, and now we need to consider the end of our wave 5 actually being right around this high, about 3.3 cents. Now let's zoom out more and see what are we having. As you can see, beautiful complete 1 2 3 4 5 wave impulsive structure. And what happens next? If we are bullish and the low is already in, this is going to be a correction structure on the downside. And in terms of the shape of it, we can have two different scenarios. Let's go around here. Scenario number 1 suggests we are having an ABC, which the subwaves for it are going to be like this: 5 down into a, correction for wave B, maybe ABC, maybe WXY, maybe even a triangle, not important, and yet another impulse on the downside into our ceiling. On the other hand, you can consider the possibility of having a WXY in form of a double zigzag, and for wave W, this is going to be our first ABC, correction for wave X. The shape of it doesn't really matter, and yet another ABC zigzag into our wave Y. Now let's go on the live chart and count some waves. So by the first look, you can argue this is 1, 2, and then we're going to have another move down into wave 3, 4, 5. And this can be from like a zoom out point of view. Another maybe like 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into wave 3, correction for 4, another 5 wave down. And on a higher degree, well, there is a chance that we may have in here an A, B, C zigzag. Now, if this scenario is happening, then okay, we can say this move down is actually going to continue quite a bit, maybe for another like 10 to even 15%. On the other hand, you can also argue this is a double zigzag structure, and here is how I can say that. Let's go on 5-minute time frame and see what is happening in this initial move up right in here. So I think basically it all comes down to this specific part of the price action. Why? Because there is a good argument for this move down being in form of an ABC and not an impulse, and also this move up being a beautiful looking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you know what I'm about to say. I think this can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down. This initial move on the downside from here to about this point is yet another 5 wave, and between these two we are having most likely an A, B, C, yes, in form of a running flat structure, which means this is our initial A, B, C down, followed by that this is a correction up, probably a WXY, and this can be, okay, from this point to about here our A leg, correction for wave B, probably I would say an ABC flat, and we are having another 5 wave down into our ceiling. Now, what's the difference between this scenario and the previous one? Well, this scenario suggests our move down, either it's actually over already, or maybe if we are going to have another move down, it's actually going to be a very small one, and downsides in here in VeChain are very, very limited. And from these areas, hopefully we are going to have a massive bounce back, since at the same time we are around, I would say now, this potential area of demand between 2.6 to about 2.7.5 cents. As long as we are staying above here, I think we are good to go up. Question: what if we get a break of this level? Okay, at that point, I think you need to pay attention to what is happening in terms of gaps, because in H4 time frame there is a gap under this level about like 2.6 cents area exactly. But if we want to go down and we want to break this level, I think there is like a more important gap all the way down here about 2.4 cents area. Let's just take this one right in here, which was created as a result of this move up overall being a bit too fast, And since I believe gaps 95+% of the time are going to get filled, for me, makes perfect sense to argue if we are going to get a break of this level, the next target is going to be about like 10-15% lower. And let's hope that from here, we're going to have a very strong bounce and we are not going to take this important low about 2.4 cents. Why is that? Because if we take it at that point, finding an impulse starting from the lowest low all the way down here about 1.75 cents is going to be extremely challenging. And I am most likely going to argue at that point, this is just an ABC and not an impulse. And maybe our move down is going to continue. And in it, we are going to take the lowest low about 1.75 cents. But as long as we are not taking it, I think we are good to go up and we are allowed to be a bit optimistic. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in VeChain. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.